Is LifeScope cheating? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to need a drink for this one, boys. Cheers. So if you're watching a channel like this, you probably know what forward-facing sonar is. So I'm not going to go into the details about what that technology does. But is it cheating? Strictly, no, it's not. It's not illegal, it's not against the rules, and everyone has potential access to the same technology. So it isn't cheating in that way, but is it good sport? So that's another question, which is different than the cheating question. It's very much like going hunting in a high fence operation. Deer, and you've got the same rifle that everybody has access to, but they can't get anywhere. So is that the best sport? Probably a good way to harvest meat, but I wouldn't call that great sport. And LifeScope is basically the fishing equivalent of that. Now, is it ruining tournament fishing? A recent video that Chris Zaldane did, where he walked around the launch at a Bassmaster event, talking to pros about their setups. Some of these guys had 20, 30, up to $50,000 worth of electronics. That is a ton. And I think that's probably overkill. I think that's definitely overkill. But this is a very interesting topic because the companies that are making forward-facing sonar are big sponsors of both the events and the top anglers. So it's not going away, it's going to be a part of the landscape. But it doesn't make the tournaments necessarily a measure of the best fishermen winning. It's about using your electronics the best. I don't know that that's the best forum for something like that. I don't know that that's the purpose of a bass fishing tournament. I grew up watching Bill Dance, Roland Martin, Jimmy Houston, and then moving over to watching BASS events. And that's what inspired me to get into fishing so many years ago. And I was intrigued by these guys who could figure out bass behavior and who could understand the nuances of what's happening in a lake and adjust their strategies accordingly. LifeScope doesn't really do that. I mean, if you have those skills, it will make you so much better. But a lot of people are kind of shortcutting that process of becoming extremely skilled and using the electronics to fill in this gap of this basic pyramid of knowledge. Now, let's get to some user comments. And I've got a bunch over the past couple of videos because this is a very polarizing topic. And I have yet to find somebody without an opinion. So there's a few people who had some positive opinions. Let's start with those. So one subscriber writes, he outfished everyone doing nothing illegal, period. This was about the Toledo Bend tournament. He's the next big thing, and us Americans need to be happy for him. Fujita is a very likable guy, and I hope he keeps on winning. Take it away, and he would still win. Same user, Colton Martin 590. The FFS user will continue to collect them checks while the rest will continue to sit on the sideline after first day of tourney, LOL. So there's some folks who think this is a part of the game now. Okay, fair, and they don't see anything wrong with that. I understand that opinion, I understand where they're coming from. But let's look at some of the comments from people who really don't like this technology. LifeScope ban is coming. Take away his electronics, he's no better than the rest. Take it all away and he would still win? That's funny. He said himself he targeted 4 fish in 30 foot of water. Without FFS, he would not even know they were there. That's not wrong. He used FFS. Baits don't matter, so I don't respect it. No, this is going away. You don't think it changed the sport, then you are ignorant. I do think it changed the sport. Not saying it didn't. How Trey McKinney won, quoting the title of a video. FFS, plain and simple. This is like congratulating a long drive champion that uses the auto driver that you don't even swing. FFS wins again. What a joke. It was a video game for him. Take the damn LifeScope away. You BASS guys will regret the FFS very soon. That was a lot of S's. Said it so many times. Rich man's kids going to win all the tournaments. Think that applies certainly on the Open series, understand? I just lost my last brain cell. Well, keep looking. Retrace your steps, I'm sure you'll find it. It's always the last place you look. So there's some very passionate opinions about LifeScope, and I don't think it's sustainable to keep going in the way that it is. Now, a lot of people have made comments on some other videos that I've watched talking about they're not watching tournaments anymore. They're saying they don't want to watch the back of some kid's head while he looks at a screen and lashes a jerkbait around at suspended fish. Okay, that's fair. And I think that if viewership is down, that will put an immense amount of pressure on the organizations to change the format. The problem is, it's not doing that. According to BASS, which they posted on their Instagram page, Lake Fork was the most watched Elite Series event ever. So while there's a very vocal and passionate group that don't like FFS on social media, that's not stopping people from tuning in. So that type of market pressure is not gonna be there. I do think things need to change, but an outright ban is probably not going to happen. So let's talk about some of the ways that we can make a change that I think would make this at least a halfway point for everyone. So one option is an outright ban, and I just don't see that coming. This technology goes in one direction. That's technology's path, kind of period. This will become more prevalent the cheaper it gets, and it will get cheaper as the technology matures. So more people recreationally are going to be able to afford it, and that means more boats are going to have it. It's not going away, but I think it can be reined in. So we're not going to get an outright ban, but one thing we could do is we could put a limit. Referencing that Chris Zildane video that I talked about earlier, there were guys with 4, 5 transducers hanging off. I don't think that it's necessary to have a weapons grade sonar system on your bass boat to go looking for some swamp donkeys. That doesn't make sense to me. I think a limit could be placed, like say 1. Put 1 on, and that's all you get to use. You can't just surround your boat in them. You can't just put them everywhere. I think that would be a fair start. Another possibility would be to limit the time that you're allowed to use the live scope. So you could say, hey, you can use it in practice, but when it's tournament time, you can't. There's marshals on the boat, so they could enforce this rule. They wouldn't be able to track the changes in behavior in the same way that they do now. That might make it a little bit more enjoyable for some of us. Another thing they could do, a third option, would be to have a couple of tournaments every year where it's absolutely just not allowed. Good candidate for that might be the Classic. The Bassmaster Classic is supposed to give us the best fishermen who had the best tournament, not necessarily the best at using their electronics. I also think that there are things on the horizon that we should be thinking about now. I've seen some videos where folks have used augmented reality glasses and have their live scope right up here so they don't even have to look down at the screen. That seems a little bit counter to the whole point of bass fishing. I want to be in the moment. I want to be in the area. I want my head where my feet are. I want to fish. I want to experience the fishing that I'm doing. I want to be there. I want to be present. That's a personal opinion about what I value when I go fishing, but I think there's something to that we shouldn't allow to be captured by technology. This isn't going away. There's still going to be people with some hot takes going forward. I don't really want to talk about FFS anymore when I'm going to recap tournaments. Let's just all make a deal. We know they're going to use it. It's not against the rules right now. I definitely think they can make some changes to make the sport better, but when I recap tournaments and I try to share the baits or some tactics that the fishermen have used, let's leave the FFS out of the conversation because it's just part of it. That's it.